From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Jason White. Canada Post and the Canadian Union of Postal Workers say they've reached tentative labor agreements.
Canada Post says the tentative deals include higher wage increases, enhanced or maintained job security, improvements to benefits, and a weekend parcel delivery model. The union's national board recommends members accept the deals during ratification votes set to be held in early 2026. The union and Crown Corporation have also agreed that a strike or lockout will not take place during the ratification process. Both agreements would be in effect until early 2029. Michelle Zedikian, The Canadian Press.
The Prime Minister has appointed a global investment banker and pension fund manager to be Canada's next ambassador to the United States. Mark Wiseman's job will include leading negotiations with the Americans on a review of the Continental Free Trade Deal. Wiseman will start the new job in mid-February, replacing Kirsten Hillman, who announced this month she would end her posting. New data from Statistics Canada show Canadians are still holding back from traveling south of the border. The number of Canadian resident return trips in October fell more than 26% from a year ago. Flight Centre Travel Group Canada's Amra Durakovic says pressures like political tensions and changing border policies are discouraging a lot of Canadians.
So what you're seeing here is together, these are really creating a barrier, almost like a psychological barrier for Canadians to travel, and they're really second-guessing cross-border trips.
Meanwhile, the number of trips to Canada by U.S. residents in October was up for the first time in 8 months, increasing by 3% compared with a year earlier. Bourbon maker Jim Beam is halting production at one of its Kentucky distilleries, thanks in part to U.S. President Donald Trump's trade war. Canadians have been boycotting American liquor after Trump suggested annexing the country. The second quarter of the year saw U.S. liquor exports to Canada plummet by 85%. Canada's immigration minister is capping student visa applications for next year and pausing some permanent residency streams. The government says there's still a backlog of applications to be processed. Prime Minister Mark Carney is the Canadian Press Newsmaker of the Year. Canadian Press reporter Mia Rabson explains how Carney turned everything on its head after his Liberal Party won the federal election in April.
3 months earlier, everybody had been expecting Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives to romp to a large victory. So turning around the fortunes of the Liberal Party, defeating the Conservatives, winning a straight fourth government for the Liberals. All of these are the reasons, I think, why people chose Mark Carney as the Newsmaker of the Year.
Carney was chosen in an annual survey of newsroom leaders and editors from across the country. This is the Canadian Press. In sports, Connor McDavid's been named the NHL's first star for a second straight week. The Edmonton Oilers captain had 5 goals and 5 assists across 4 games to earn the accolade. Ottawa Senators goalie Linus Ullmark was dubbed second star after winning 3 games in a row. The Vancouver Canucks are the only Canadian NHL team in action tonight. Vancouver takes its 4-game win streak into Philadelphia. Goaltender Carter George is one of 6 players back for Canada and looking for redemption at the World Junior Hockey Championship. George says the disappointment of last year's elimination at the quarterfinal stage was tough to process.
Frustrated and super difficult that next week and a bit. It didn't really sink in right away, and then once it did, that's when it was pretty tough.
Canada opens the tournament in Minneapolis on Friday against Czechia. And Canada's men's soccer team will kick off 2026 with a 10-day camp in California. The squad will gather in Irvine from January 8th through 18th. From the Canadian Press, I'm Jason White.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.